Initially, I wasn't aware that some so-called 40,000 has been deposited. But let me be quick to say that the next day, I got to know that...
I don't want to take back. Please, can you avoid the use of the word so-called? I mean, just not to...
I'm sorry.
Controversy.
I'm sorry. Thank you for the guidance.
You know, you've done well so far.
Thank you. Thank you. So, on the 9th of January, I got information that some people were discharging some heavy fuel oil into the tanks at AXA. And already the Chief of Staff had tasked me to lead a technical team to avoid this looming challenge in respect of these shortages of fuel. And like I told you on the 8th...
Pacho, vetting no moye parliament, and I say parliament vetting no omoye nkofo a John Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana. Omo se ono mo beye dwuma na omaboa Ghana atimi akonanim. Enti ye ministers ya ye omo se eja omo fo omo mekire ne omo vetting ne mu se bi so omo anu asem na afi ye ndu omo ntum no omo ntimi nya adwuma mbo o Ghana no eno ho ayi na mebo kakra ede kire wo na Jinapor akopiem ewo ho na utie nsem a John Jinapor kopiem o kan o kire se eye energy sector ne de problem na wo kan se ewo ho no ewo ho na one eye eja vetting fue eyi ano makuma akubi ho baste no kire se eye de no kore ai da ho ewo se ode tudwa na tuwo no nkofo mebre anase wo te se omode eye fango bi egugugu no mabim se de be yanke betimanya eye nkanea ewo Ghana onde wate but so be confirm ya na confirm de ni oni ho asem ba ni mu de wo krata so no enu nkomo no odi ono ka ho bi ende eje omo ye vetting a okopie mu e committee yase ye ntiensem odi nkan kan e wi ade aka no mesan de aka.
Mr. Chairman, to answer this, on the 8th of January, this is official record, and I would respectfully make a copy available to the committee. And so the HFO issue you're talking of, on the 8th of January, Sun Power, light crude oil, 260,000, enough to cater for 23 days. Sinon Asogli, DFO, which is distillate fuel oil, 0. KTPP, distillate fuel oil, enough to cater for 1.5 days. Now the HFO. On the 8th of January, AXA, 440 meter cube, enough to cover for only 6 hours. So officially, I wasn't aware that some so-called 40,000 has been deposited. But let me be quick to say that the next day, I got to know that...
I don't want to take back. Please, can you avoid the use of the word so-called? I mean, just not to...
I'm sorry.
Controversy.
I'm sorry. Thank you for the guidance.
You know, you've done well so far.
Thank you. Thank you. So, on the 9th of January, I got information that some people were discharging some heavy fuel oil into the tanks at AXA. And already the Chief of Staff had tasked me to lead a technical team to avoid this looming challenge in respect of these shortages of fuel. And like I told you, on the 8th of January, we had only 6 hours. In fact, they said that taking even the minimum requirement, it could last for only 5 hours. When I heard of it, I inquired. And then the AXA MD told me that some people had come to deliver HFO. I asked him on whose authority. Leader, with the greatest of respect, I do not want to mention people's name here, and you know why. I made it clear to them that those people were no longer in office, and they had no mandate on the 9th of January to issue orders to him to receive those fuels. I called ECG, ECG was not aware. I called VRA, they were not aware. I called the ministry, Solomon is here, they are not aware. I called GMPC, they are not aware. So I advised the chief director to ask for a cessation of the delivery, and we report to Chief of Staff. It's a matter of further investigation. On an assumption of office, with your kind leave, we shall investigate that matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So they delivered it, or they couldn't deliver at all? Are we in receipt of that at the time you became aware?
As far as I'm concerned, officially, government is not in receipt of any such delivery. They were in the process of delivery, but without any authorization to deliver, we thought that they should hold on and let's do what is right and proper. Thank you.
So the 5 hours that you put out, as compared to the 23 days that you initially.
Okay. Leader, take the floor. Take the floor.
So the 5 days that was originally out, you know, when the inauguration took place at the Independence Square, the media reported that you had alleged, or you had said that we had only some 5 days of work. 5 hours, yes, 5 hours. Considering the fact that in your answer to me, you had indicated that Sem Power had fuel that could last us for 23 days. Would you want to reconcile the 5 hours and the 23 days, or would you want to shed some more light on it for clarity's sake?
Honorable nominee.
There's nothing to reconcile. I was specific. I said we have 5 hours of HFO. And it's true. We had 5 hours of HFO. I said we had 0 hours of DFO for Sudan and Sogli. And it's true. I gave a breakdown, but I don't develop the headlines. I don't write the stories. The recording is there. And the truth is that we have 5 hours of HFO. And if there's any problem with gas supplies, we are going to lose as much as 370 megawatts in 5 hours' time, which will lead to load shedding. And so as far as I'm concerned, that is the fact. Thank you.
Time one will confirm me. Since some more the two that time inauguration course on Nina Enoch. Now before that, before I met Wasso, every Jinapor John Jinapor before I meet you. Mahama make some too much Miss Wasim. John Dramani Mahama, president, wasn't another Danko Akufo Addo, Abo Kebi $2.5 billion dollars. A far energy no hun sensem. What na si Eddin Komo Eddie Afahon. I just say any asem kutua o blame na Danko Akufo Addo ne na ban say dwumadi o madi enema eye dum so ya ebebe yo say ebe jaye no.
Our power generation sector, and if there was one of the first meetings any person who's taking responsibility of this country had to have, then it's with you, the power producers, because we know what role power plays in keeping the economy going, especially in a time when the economy is in crisis. You must have had your issues with the previous government, and I think that I know many of them, but it helps to hear it from, I don't mean your horses, but from the horse's own mouth, and to see how we can work together to try and improve the situation so that we can have a good collaboration. We all remember the time of the power crisis, popularly called Doomsday by Ghanaians. It was important that we expand the space for independent power producers because government on its own could not always leverage the capital to put in the generation that was required. And that's how come many of you signed PPAs and set up the thermal plants that we have. I remember that we had two issues to resolve in terms of being able to solve the power crisis. The first was to increase generation because over the years we had thought that Akosombo was the all-in-all and that it will continue to provide Ghana power forever. But the time had come for us to complement hydro with thermal. And in the beginning was VRA that was responsible for that. But mobilizing capital early enough and being able to operationalize thermal plants was becoming a challenge for government and its state-owned power production companies. And so IPPs started to come in. Sunan Asogli came in, Sem Power and all of you came in. And you've played a very critical role in making sure that our economy gets the power it needs to be able to continue to make progress. But like I said, there were twin problems. One was the generational, and that's made us accelerate the signing of PPAs with independent power producers, but also bringing in emergency power. If you remember, Ameri was one of those that was brought in, and then the car power ship also came in. But that was just to solve the generation. The more important and critical issue was the debt and paying down the debt that accumulated in the sector. And so we introduced the energy sector levy. And our anticipation was that looking at the revenues that were going to be generated by the energy sector, within 5 years would have been able to clear the legacy debt. And so we passed the ESLA levy. But after we passed it, we left office in December and a new government came in. And they had other ideas and other ways of trying to do things. But unfortunately, one of the outcomes was that ESLA was not used for its intended purpose, and the revenues of ESLA were mismanaged. And so what should have gone to pay down a lot of the debt that has accumulated today was used for other purposes. And so we have the situation we have. And like I said, while we take responsibility for solving challenges, because that's what we're elected to do, we must let the Ghanaian people to know what the situation is. You need to let people know the challenge before you go ahead and solve it. And so now we have an energy sector that is burdened with debt, highly inefficient. Just giving a ballpark figure, the audited debt in the power sector is estimated at about $2.5 billion. And if you take $2.5 billion and imagine that we're in an IMF program bailout for $3 billion, if you're trying to achieve macroeconomic stability with a bailout of $3 billion, and you have a power sector debt of $2.5 billion that you have not yet come up with any strategy for dealing with, then you can be sure that it can wreck any fiscal consolidation that you achieve under the IMF program. And so as quickly as possible, the IMF and World Bank were very generous to send missions down that have been speaking with us to discuss how we deal not only with the power sector debt, but with all other challenges that we face in the economic sector. And I do think that those talks have gone very well. And they're continuing to talk with technical people. And as we go on, I'm sure that you get to know what the issues are. But I thought that it was important for me to meet you as president and tell you that I care about your concerns and what you're going through, and to say that we're going to work together with you to see how we can resolve the issues in the power sector. The first thing is for us to deal with the issue of the value chain, the whole power value chain. And that means that we must start from the downstream all the way upstream. There are issues to do with availability of gas, and so that's upstream, how we get the companies in that space to increase exploration and bring on more gas so that we eliminate the use of fossil fuels and achieve our dream of gas to power 100%, which will bring down the cost of generation. That's the first thing. And the next is to see how we can bring more efficiency in terms of your sector and the production of power, so that we can pass on any benefits to the Ghanaian people.
John Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana, editu edwa enso enono se na danko Akufo Addo oblemu no pa sika bia otimi se wunia wa yusu no rough nti ama energy no ebenya problem na yenkoto John Jinapor de so ene full vet ni nyina me de ka ho e de ama obetimi wa dwenkyira ba de konti e very important e wo se wutie bi ene se efa Ghana hu we mu ni ministers ya ye be yi omo na omo behwe Ghana so e ma ye nyina for the next 4 years e di animu yi no enti se omo ho asem basa na se ye ka enye se politics no obi yi o na emmom no se de be ye be hu ye ministers na china bi asem koba na se wokopeni din kura wo hunu di din abo enti eneme yeje sansem wi ebeto abonten ti John Jinapor eto aso eye ne vetin no na ensem ahodo oburugu ho ne ese wani eni kwa asem ka kira.
If you did not consume that gas, you'd have consumed 20 million barrels of light crude oil. If you do what you call import substitution or parity, this country saved $1.2 billion from consuming that gas. So I hold the view that you might have an opinion that the gas is expensive, another one might have an opinion that it's not expensive. But if you're saving $1.2 billion from import substitution from light crude, when using gas. I hold the view that that gas is competitive. It came before this House. This House debated it and approved it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. It's now the turn of Dr. Kabiru Wale.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I would just, before I start, congratulate my senior brother and alumni of University for Development Studies for such an achievement. That said, I also want to seek the guidance of the chair as to whether I will be allowed a follow-up question. Thank you very much. Honorable Jinapor, you on the 18th of September 2024 alluded to the fact that when the matter of ECG was up for discussion, you stated that the decision to have a private sector participation wasn't what was good for ECG. However, you are of the candid and considered opinion that the interference by politicians and the fact that we need to weed off political interference was the way to go. Fast forward on the 17th, on or around the 17th of the 7th of January, you were heard again on radio stating that you think that the only way forward was to have private sector participation, especially in the metering and collection sector of Ghana Electricity Company. Now, my question to you is, and you back this particular position with the fact that ATC and C, which you just alluded for, and for the benefit of Hansard, we are talking of aggregate technical, commercial, and collection losses, was 40%. Could you please give this committee the breakdown of these 40% losses in terms of A, T, C, and C in the various sectors of that particular aggregate figure?
I'll do that. But Mr. Chairman, first of all, I'm surprised that this allegation has been leveled against me, because I've remained consistent that there should be a private sector participant in the distribution, especially, like you said, billing and collection. When I was Deputy Minister, I led the process. When Honorable Setekwe became my supervising minister, he made me lead the process of privatization. I led the team to India, I led the team to Uganda, I led the team to Kenya to learn from best practices. And so I'm surprised. And let me put on record that I've been very consistent that we need private sector participation at the distribution level, except that I disagreed with the format of the PDS, and I maintain that we can do it better. The ATC and C, I think it's about 23% for the technical, and the remaining is the commercial, which sums it up to the 40%. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
Mr.
you still
Speaker.
have a follow-up?
Yes, a follow-up.
Okay, go ahead.
During transition, you were handed over with a KPMG report of the audit of the operations of ECG, and that report puts the figure at 37.7%. And if the committee will be guided, it is the product of the billing efficiency and the collection efficiency. Can you confirm that to the committee?
I was not handed over a KPMG report, but 37 and 40, the difference is not that much. But I wasn't handed over a KPMG report. I asked a direct question as co-chair to ECG, and they told me that the losses was around 40%. But if you have a KPMG report, I would like to read it to enrich my knowledge. Thank you.
Honorable Minority Leader has a follow-up question on that.
Honorable nominee, listening to your answer to Dr. Kabiru's question, the impression you create on our minds is that you are not against the privatization of ECG. From what you said, you are against the PDS in terms of the approach. So can you tell us then whether your government is for the privatization, the full privatization of ECG.
We believe that they should
be. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. We believe there should be a private sector participation. What we intend to do is to form a 7-member committee chaired by technical experts, legal experts, financial experts, and some industry players, and even somebody from the consumer side. What we want them to do is to get us a framework, looking at best practices. Would the concession approach work or a full privatization work? We will stay off as politicians, let them get a framework in a more transparent, open, frank manner. Then when we get a buy-in of Ghanaians, then we can set the standards using an RFQ, an RFP, and then a competitive tender process. Let me make this clear. We are not going to do sole sourcing when it comes to the ECG private sector participation. Competitive tender process with some element of private sector participation using local content, and then we set the KPIs so we make progress. And so we are clear in our minds what we intend to do. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you too. He has a further follow-up question.
Honorable nominee, so can you let us know the time frame for this engagement? Because Ghanaians will be anxious to know. What's the time frame you are looking at?
The preliminary work we have done is that my target is to push for 6 months, but I do not want to stampede the committee if I'm fortunate to get your approval. But give and take within this year, we should be able to do that, because there are lessons that we've learned from the previous concession. And so that will be the building block. But like I said, we want to do that in a very transparent, open manner and get the best for this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We now take a question from Honorable Asika Dongo.
Mr. Speaker, I've not...
Any questions? It's now the turn of Honorable Asika Dongo.
Thank you very much, Chairman. First, I want to congratulate my younger brother and to commend him for the speed with which he supported the president to resolve this issue. I have heard you mention some numbers. You said the bill we left was about $2.1 billion, and you translated that to about 9 billion Ghana cedis. But you said today is about 3 billion. Can you situate that in a reporting currency? What does that mean? $3 billion means what in cedis?
Mr. Chairman, when you use an exchange rate of say 15, that's 45 billion. So in Ghana cedi, we've moved from about 9 billion to 45 billion. It would have been worse. What is even kept it at the 45 billion is that another 45 billion has been collected on account of the Energy Sector Levies Act. So, but for the 45 billion that has accrued to the President Akufo Addo government, the debt would have compounded and that would have been much higher. But despite that, the debt today is about 45 billion Ghana cedi.
So in addition to the 45 billion,
you are entitled to a question. I'm sorry. May I give the floor to Roxanne Nelson Dapamapo?
Chairman, thank you very much. Let me use the opportunity to congratulate my brother. We entered Parliament together. We worked together. And we constituted the famous 7. And I know that he will deliver. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Give the floor to Ajin Sam. One question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and congratulations, JJ. I come from a rural area. Till date, there are communities that do not have meters. And therefore, I want to find out from you, what will you do to improve ECG revenue? collection? And will you support a proposal to phase out all postpaid meters to prepaid ones?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the ideal way, like you said, is to get prepayment meters, especially smart meters that can mimic all the requirements that you need. My meeting with ECG indicates that they have about 5.2 million meters. 4.8 are active. About 3 million of them are not working properly. So of the 4.8, 3 million meters are not working properly. So they will need to change a minimum of 2.9 million meters in order to satisfy the market. 2, like you said, people want meters. They are unable to get the meters. Technology is advancing. So we are exploring the possibility of selling the meters. Let people buy the meters. But through smart technology, we will license some people to install the meters. But you will need to send a code. Once you send a code in with mobile money, it's activated. And automatically, you are registered onto the system. Because sometimes it costs people more than 4 or 5 times to spend money to get a meter. So if we make it readily available and use economies of scale, I'm sure the price will come down. So it's something we are working on, and we intend to roll that out as soon as we get your note. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's now the turn of Honorable Agnes Namumulate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Let me take the opportunity to also congratulate the Honorable Member on his nomination. There's something that is on the hearts and minds of most Ghanaians. And if we all have a way, we'll contribute to ensuring that it doesn't become a headache again. The issue of the inconsistency in the power supply, given the nod, what are you going to do? I have seen you do take some pragmatic steps to aid the president. In the long term, what will you do to ensure that our power and our electricity supply stays on? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Honorable nominee, what will you do to ensure our power stays on?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we have a current installed capacity of about 5,260 megawatts, a dependable capacity of about 4,800 megawatts. We've just hit a new peak demand of 4,100 megawatts. Our grid system is very, very resilient. We've upgraded a lot of our lines from 161 to 330 and 331 kVA lines. So they are quite robust with a lot of injection of primary substations. The first problem we need to address is the issue of fuel. Fuel supply is a major problem confronting the sector. Currently, we have a deficit of about 40 to 60 mm of gas. If you take the gas from ENI, gas from Jubilee 10, and then gas from N-Gas, and you put all together, you still have a deficit. And so you have to be depending on some level of light crude oil, some level of heavy fuel oil, and some level of distillate fuel oil. Our immediate objective will be to bridge that gap. We've met Jubilee partners, we've spoken to the partners and the operators, Talo. We've also spoken to Ghana Gas. They are currently doing 100 mm SCAF. We are confident that if they do some reconditioning, they can increase it to about 35 more. And that will give us a lot of buffer. So once we solve the fuel situation, and we have some liquid fuel reserves as a backup, we should be okay. The next one will be to deal with the financial challenges. I've gotten a letter from Car Power. We owe them $377 million. They are threatening to shut down. Talo over 100 million. They are threatening to cut back. ENI is threatening. So we need to deal with the financial challenge. So these two, if we can get them right, we should be home and dry. Last year alone, Ministry of Finance spent about 28 billion on energy sector related payments. That's more than your capital expenditure including even your goods and services. So we have to look at how to drill down and bring about efficiency and be able to pay for what we consume. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Minority Leader, have a follow-up question.
Chairman, thank you so much. Honorable nominee, though on the letter was Minister of Energy, but if you look at the executive instrument, it's adding something to your portfolio. You are aware of that?
Leader, with the greatest respect, I've seen it, but I'm only a nominee.
No, I'm saying whether you are aware.
I'm aware.
We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it later. Let me go ahead with my follow-up question. So, on the 7th of January, 2025, I am reliably informed that on the said date, the light crude oil ascent power was for a period of 23 days. Do you agree to that?
Yes, Leader.
Very well. If it was for 23 days as you agree, then are you equally aware that GMPC, which has a contract with Stratcon for the supply of 12 million liters of HFO, is still supplying this to AXA? You are aware?
I've checked on that, and GMPC has indicated that they don't have a contract with Stratcon to supply those liters. Thank you.
But do they take such supplies if they don't have such contract? Is there an arrangement where these supplies are delivered to them?
I've done my checks, and I can tell you that based on my check, there's no such arrangement.
Now, would you be surprised to hear that on the 6th of January, on the 6th of January, they supplied 19,561 tons?
I will not be surprised, and that's one of the issues I intend to investigate when you approve me.
Okay.
It's a subject matter for investigation.
All right.
Thank you.
So have you become aware?
Leader, you know the rules. A follow-up question must not exceed a certain limit.
Yes,
so
Chairman,
I think if you wouldn't mind, I can give you the floor now to ask your questions.
Chairman, you see, the nominee in response to Honorable Momo Late's question had made certain pronouncements. I only was breaking it down because I didn't want to put all together. I know I have to act within the rules. So please indulge me most respectfully, sir. Indulge me. I only wanted to break it down, else I could have put all together as a composite question. I didn't want to do that because there are specific deliveries on certain dates. So please bear with me. Since you are aware that on the 6th of January, 19,561 tons worth of HFO was supplied. But your issue is that there was no contract, so it will be investigated. But that was supplied.
No, I didn't say that, Mr. Chairman. I didn't say that.
Okay, no problem. Now, on the 8th, would you be surprised to hear that on the 8th January, to 44,124 was also supplied?
Mr. Chairman, with the greatest of respect, I need your guidance. Leader, I respect you. The leader is asking me whether I will be surprised to hear that fuel has been delivered. I thought you would have asked me.
Okay, no problem. Let me put it differently. Have you become aware that on the 8th of January, 44,124 tons was supplied?
Mr. Chairman, to answer this, on the 8th of January, this is official record, and I would respectfully make a copy available to the committee.
Ene nkomo a eye John Jinapor ko die ebro kopie mu ministerial vetting ase na omo edi nkomo no mubusebusa no questions 1 or 2 bi e dia fa position ahodo a eja ye de be hihye omo nsa no ho we ni nsem wo de tu dwa e important wo se yete na ehunu ba bia Ghana e koro ne ba bia e kwa akoduru de eba enyina wo se yete bi di ani hunu bi because omo ka kire you say na ade ne te na ekina bi kutom na wo hunu se asesa anase ansesa wo hunu ha wa besi atwere wo comment Ediafa. And I know first that bit must subscribe to my channel for more videos. Me say ensem bi ekoso wo Ghana. Efa Ghana hu bia no. Ye beka wo page we so. Eya politics or religion. De efa hu bia beka wo page we aso. Ubetuma subscribe to channel no we adoma so for notification. Me post to video the first person I won't bitimi aka no ahwe. Kai so be like it. Ansa no wako. Ya mi shira oba.